We're over here at MHAB today. We are intending to make some vegetarian moussaka. We have a little catering job tomorrow for a professional group coming in to use the conference center, so we thought we'd take that opportunity and video the making of this dish, and hopefully it might help you out and let you get a nice, healthy, tasty dish on your own table at home. So here we go. Tonight's an eggplant. Basically, it's a layered dish. It's got layers of eggplant, and we're going to put in the middle of that, we're going to put some sauteed vegetables, carrots, or pardon me, not carrots. We're going to put onions and some potatoes and garlic and feta cheese. And we're going to kind of bind everything together with some bechamel sauce that's seasoned with some paprika and oregano and rosemary and feta cheese. And we're going to put some mozzarella cheese on top, brown it up in the oven until the cheese is all nice and bubbly, and I think it'll be okay. So what I'm doing first, I got a nice, healthy, firm eggplant. Can you see this here? It's got a nice glossy cover to it. It doesn't have any big bruises or dents or soft spots. So I'm going to peel this guy, and then I'm going to slice it into rounds that are about 3/8 or half an inch thick. And then we're going to do what they call sweating it. Eggplant, if you cook much of it, quick break here. I'm going to grab a compost pan. One of the things we like to do here at MHAB is to be as environmentally conscious as we can, so we do compost on a regular basis. We've got a greenhouse under construction, garden with raised beds. We do our best to use our own produce when we cook here, so it's always nice to have good dirt. I love good dirt. So anyway, if you've cooked with eggplant before, you know it can get wet and mushy. So we're going to sweat this. First thing I'm going to do is cut it, as I say, about 3/8 or half an inch rounds after having peeled it. And then I'm going to put it on a rack, just a regular baker's cooling rack, in a sheet pan. I'm going to salt it. So I've cut those in rounds and place those peeled rounds on a rack in a baking sheet. And I'm going to liberally salt them. Now, most of this salt is going to come off because we're going to rinse it and pat them dry after they've sweat for a while. So be free with the salt. You really want to get as much of that moisture out as you want, as will come out. Both sides, do one side, turn them over. All in all, I'm probably using 2 or 3 tablespoons of salt on this one eggplant. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to leave it for about 45 minutes or an hour. Presto, it is now 45 minutes or an hour later. So what I'm going to do with these guys now is I'm going to, first of all, I have rinsed these off. I'll just run them under the faucet, and then I've patted them dry with a nice clean towel. Now you can take a look. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Telly, can you get that amount of water in the bottom of that? Yeah. That's an awful lot of liquid that's come out of that eggplant. That's all stuff that would make your finished dish soupy if we allowed it to remain in there. But we didn't, because we salted these and sweated them and let them drain. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to put kind of a 2-layered coating on this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dredge those damp eggplant rounds, because even after they've been patted dry, they are still kind of moist on the surface. So I'm going to do that in just dry flour, nothing added to that at all. This flour. I am then going to toss those in some beaten up egg and a little egg wash. I've add a little milk to that, thin it a little bit. And then for the finish, we're going to put that in, once it's got the flour and the damp egg wash, we're going to put that in a thin breading of panko breadcrumbs mixed with grated Parmesan cheese. So anyway, I've got eggplant, flour, egg, and a mix of panko and Parmesan. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the sheet pan I just gotten out. I just want to film. We're not trying to fry these. So here we go. Just pat it in. And let it sit while you go through, and we'll just sort of work these through this whole batch in reverse order so that they have a little bit of time, not much time, just a couple of minutes between the time that I floured the first one and the time I run through the egg wash. So now we just take those lightly floured eggplant rounds, dip them both sides in the egg, and do the same process. See, what you've got is a nicely evenly covered round of eggplant. It's got a very light and what will turn out to be a nice crisp coating on it. Now these guys are going to go straight into the oven at about 350. You probably want to do about 375 in your home oven unless you've got a good powerful convection oven. We have a convection oven here at the kitchen at MHAB. So it'll be a slightly lower temperature, and we'll want to do those probably about 20 minutes on one side, pull the sheet out, flip them over, give them about 10 or 15 minutes on the other side, and you'll see they get a nice golden, crispy surface on both top and bottom. So we're ready to go into the oven. So we've got the eggplant in the oven, and we're going to go ahead now and work on the filling. So the first thing we're going to do is saute some onions and some par-cooked potatoes. Pan with a little olive oil. And while that's warming up, I'm going to cube up my pre-cooked and par-cooked potatoes. You want to make sure your oil is pretty warm in the bottom of your skillet. Otherwise, you can hear that? Can you hear that? You want it to sizzle when it goes in. Otherwise, the oil will get absorbed into what it is that you're browning, and you won't get the same crispness on the outside. You'll have kind of a mushy bit. I'm going to cut up some garlic so that when these guys are the onions and the potatoes are about halfway done, I'm going to throw in some garlic. So we've got some fresh garlic cloves here. Now, I happen to love garlic, and I could put garlic in this dish and have it be the same size as the onions and the carrots. Most people, however, don't like garlic quite as much as I do, so I'm going to cut the garlic a bit smaller. I'm actually going to kind of mince it up so that you get a good solid flavor of garlic going throughout the dish without people going, oh my goodness, I just ate a great big chunk of garlic. Okay, so you can see that that's quite a lot smaller than the potatoes and the onion. So keep that moving. You see we're starting to get some brown on the bottom of that skillet. So we're aiming to get those onions to start to become translucent, so you can kind of see light through them and begin to brown a little bit. And now toss that garlic in, let that sit on top for a little while as the onions and the potatoes cook. So the base of the sauce for this, which binds everything together, is what's called a bechamel sauce. It's a basic white sauce, which consists of fat and starch. In this case, I'm going to use butter and regular old wheat flour, nothing special. So there's probably about, 5 or 6 ounces of butter. Then I'll melt that. And when that is melted, I'm going to add probably about a cup of flour, 3/4 of a cup or a cup of flour. So there's about, 3/4 of a cup or a cup of flour. And we'll stir that. It'll become kind of a paste. You want to stir all those lumps out before you begin to do anything else with the sauce. And I'm going to put in probably a pint and a half of milk, give or take. Now I took this milk out of the fridge an hour or two ago. It's a little more gentle on the sauce when you use room temperature milk. You can do it from cold, but it blends together. It's a little easier on the stove. If you use room temperature dairy when you make these together. So we're going to let that work for a while, and we'll season it. Now I've got some rosemary, some dried rosemary leaves. If you've got fresh rosemary, all the better. We did not grow any rosemary in our herb garden today, or this year, so we don't have fresh rosemary. And I take the whole needles and break them up a little bit. They can get a little scratchy and sharp if you use the whole needle. A little dried oregano and some paprika. I use smoked paprika, Spanish smoked paprika. I just like the flavor of it. It's got a little more depth to it, a little earthiness, which you don't get with run-of-the-mill paprika. And then we're going to cook this until it thickens. Okay, so now we've got our eggplant, which is beautiful, crispy, crusty, with that both sides nice and brown and crunchy. So we're going to go ahead and put this together now. So what we've got is the eggplant, which we spread out a little bit here, the mixture of the potatoes and the onions, which we prepped, our sauce, our bechamel with garlic and onion and paprika and seasonings. So we're going to put it all together and layer it with some mozzarella on top, pop it in the oven, and then we'll have a taste. I'm going to go ahead and put that onion and potato mixture on first. We're going to add some crumbled feta, because it's Greek, and you can't have anything like this without feta. So we've got feta and our potato and onion mixture. We're now going to put our sauce on, which has been seasoned with paprika and colored with a little tomato paste. And for jobs such as I have scooped up the numbers, haven't I? Okay, so there we are. We've got all of our sandwiches layered up. Just a touch more sauce so that things stay nice and moist on the tops before we put our mozzarella on. A little cheese for melting, and we are just about ready for the oven. So out of the oven we come, and what we have is beautiful moussaka, vegetarian with onions, potatoes, eggplant, cheese, sauce, and I think this is going to be kind of tasty. Ooh, look at that. I'm liking this. You want a bite? No, you can't have any. There you go. Give that a try. That'll do, pig. That'll do.